April 17, 1941. Yugoslavia surrenders after only 11 days of fighting, and in the days that follow, the Germans occupy the territory of Serbia and start terrorizing the local population. Resistance does not wait, and soon sabotage spreads across the country as rail lines are blown apart. German patrols are ambushed, and vital supply routes through the Balkans are thrown into chaos. For Hitler, these attacks threaten the stability of the entire region and endanger the wider campaign against the Soviet Union. Reinforcements arrive, but the partisans continue to fight, refusing to yield. To crush this rebellion, the Nazis summon a man whose methods will bring terror to every corner of the occupied territory. Under his command, the security forces enforce racial laws against Jews, execute hostages in mass reprisal actions, and destroy entire villages as punishment. His orders will cause the deaths of thousands of innocent men, women, and children, many killed inside their own communities. The name of the Nazi commander responsible for some of the worst atrocities in German-occupied Yugoslavia is Wilhelm Fuchs. Wilhelm Fuchs was born on September 1, 1898 in the city of Mannheim, then part of the German Empire. After completing high school, he entered the Imperial German Army and fought in the First World War, which lasted from July 28, 1914 to November 11, 1918. Fuchs earned the Iron Cross, second class, for his service, and when the war ended, he pursued agricultural science at the University of Leipzig, receiving a doctorate in 1929. His academic training did not prevent him from embracing radical politics, and in April 1932 he joined the Nazi Party. In December of the same year, he became a member of the SS. On January 30, 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. In April of the same year, Wilhelm Fuchs became the adjutant to Walther Dahr, the Reich Farmers' leader. He soon moved into the SS Race and Settlement Office, an organization responsible for enforcing Nazi racial ideology, vetting SS marriages, and planning the expansion of so-called German settlement in the East. Fuchs served there as an SS leader until 1936, when he transferred to the main office of the SD, the intelligence agency of the SS and the Nazi Party, operating under Reinhard Heydrich. Beginning in October 1937, he headed the SS main section in Dresden. Fuchs then became inspector of the security police and the SD in the city of Braunschweig in northern Germany. In April 1938, he was promoted to SS Standartenführer, a rank equivalent to colonel in the U.S. Army. The Second World War started on September 1, 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. From 1940 onward, Fuchs served as an SD officer under Bruno Streckenbach, the commander of the security police and the SD in the general government, which was the German zone of occupation in Poland. When Germany's ally Italy failed to conquer Greece in the late autumn and winter of 1940 to 1941, Germany became increasingly concerned about securing its southeastern flank in the Balkans. Greece's success in repelling Italian forces allowed its ally, Great Britain, to establish a foothold on the European continent, to subdue Greece and drive the British off the mainland. Nazi Germany sought to bring Yugoslavia and Bulgaria into the Axis alliance, which was a military coalition led by Germany, Italy, and Japan. On March 25, 1941, Yugoslavia joined the Axis and agreed to permit German troops to transit through its territory en route to Greece. The announcement of the agreement was extremely unpopular in many parts of the country, particularly in Serbia and Montenegro. The Yugoslav government soon declared that it would not honor its obligations under the pact. Hitler was furious. Although Prime Minister General Dusan Samovic attempted to retract the statement within days, Hitler ordered the invasion of Yugoslavia on the evening of March 27th. The invasion, involving German, Italian, Hungarian, and Bulgarian forces, began on April 6, 1941. By April 17th, The Yugoslav army had surrendered, and the country was occupied and partitioned by the Axis powers. Following the German occupation of Yugoslavia, Fuchs was appointed the commander of the security, police, and the SD in Serbia. In this role, he assumed leadership of Einsatzgruppe Serbia, one of the Nazi mobile death squads that followed the German army into occupied territories. These units carried out mass shootings, arrests, reprisals, and the destruction of communities, labeled hostile to German rule. In Serbia, the Einsatzgruppe targeted Jews, suspected partisans, communists, prisoners, and members of the Serbian cultural and political elite. One of Fuchs's first acts was to order the registration of all Jews in Belgrade, issuing a proclamation that anyone who failed to register would be shot. The occupation soon met determined resistance. In July 1941, Yugoslav partisans began sabotaging railway and telephone lines and ambushing German troops. The response from the security police and the SD under Fuchs grew increasingly violent. Hostages were executed, villages were burned, and large groups of civilians were rounded up in reprisal actions. The so-called Keitel Order of September 16, 1941, demanded the killing of 50 to 100 civilians for every German soldier killed. And Fuchs advocated for including already imprisoned Serbian Jews among those selected for execution, arguing that they were already classified as racial and political enemies of the Reich. These measures produced some of the harshest occupation policies in Europe, and thousands of men, women, and children were shot in fields, barns, courtyards, or along the edges of hastily dug pits, many of which the victims were forced to dig with their own hands before being shot. Others were locked inside their homes, which were soaked with petrol and set on fire. There were also instances when children were skinned alive. By the end of 1941, the uprising in Serbia had been largely crushed, yet senior SS leaders judged the results insufficient. At the end of January 1942, Fuchs was replaced by SS Standartenführer Emanuel Schaefer, whom Reinhard Heydrich, chief of the Reich Security Main Office, had instructed to impose even harsher measures because he considered Fuchs to have failed. Fuchs's removal from Serbia did not end his career within the SS, nor did it decrease his involvement in mass murder. In 1942, he was promoted to the rank of SS Oberfuhrer, a rank equivalent to a senior colonel in the U.S. Army. Shortly afterward, he was sent to the city of Riga in today's Latvia, then an area the Germans referred to as Ostland. There he served as the acting SS and police leader, entering a command structure that had already overseen large-scale shootings of Jewish families near forests, ravines, and execution pits on the outskirts of towns and villages. Units under this leadership carried out systematic extermination operations, and Fuchs stepped directly into these ongoing crimes. After a brief return to his post in Braunschweig, he was appointed acting higher SS and police leader during the summer of 1943. On September 15th of that year, he was sent back to the east to command Einsatzkommando 3. This formation had murdered thousands of Jewish men, women, and children in Lithuania, often by forcing victims to dig pits and then shooting them in large groups. Fuchs oversaw its operations until May 1944, after which he advanced to the leadership of Einsatzgruppe A and the security police and SD in the same occupied Baltic region. Einsatzgruppe A had carried out some of the earliest and largest massacres in the Soviet Union, destroying entire Jewish communities. His final wartime assignment came in Croatia, where Fuchs served as the last commander of Einsatzgruppe E between October and November 1944. In this position, he shared responsibility for the murder of tens of thousands of people, including Jews, Serbs, partisans, and civilians accused of helping the resistance. The Second World War in Europe ended on May 8, 1945. In the months that followed, Wilhelm Fuchs was arrested by Allied forces and extradited to Yugoslavia to stand trial for his crimes. He appeared before the Supreme Military Court in Belgrade alongside 17 other defendants. The indictment held him responsible for the deaths of 150,000 men, women, and children, including 35,000 Jews. The court found Fuchs guilty of mass murder, brutal reprisals, and the systematic persecution of civilians. In December 1946, he was sentenced to death. Wilhelm Fuchs was 48 years old when, on January 24, 1947, he was hanged in Belgrade together with August Meissner, the former higher SS and police leader in Serbia.